Claire says we're ready, so I'll call the meeting to order. And the first thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Ms. Wagner moves to approve. Is there a
Point of
second?
order.
Garrett, yeah, don't we need to take roll?
Roll.
They had roll call. I looked right by that. We'll have roll call first.
Caius,
Caius present.
Scobie, Molina,
Molina present.
Sanchez,
Here.
Starrett,
Garrett present.
Wegman, here. Kenyon.
See, that was just a trick question to see if you're paying attention. Give it Caius. So now, Mr. Caius, we need the approval of minutes, and Penny Wagman moves. Who seconds?
Garrett,
Caius second.
Caius seconds. Is there discussion?
Sorry, Susan.
Any corrections?
no problem.
Chris?
I defer to you anytime, no problem.
No corrections or additions? We're ready to vote.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Scobie,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Wegman. Yes.
The minutes are approved. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to our partners. Kane County Farm Bureau updates, Manager Steve Arnold.
Good morning. I'm going to be kind of brief. I have a guest with me, but I'm going to introduce her after I make some brief comments. First of all, an update on harvest progress statewide, and I think we're a little behind these numbers here in northeastern Illinois, but corn harvest is 66% complete and soybean harvest is 81% complete. That is running surprisingly ahead of schedule on soybeans, given the early dry weather and the more recent wet weather. Last year at this time, we were only about 65% on soybeans. So just a couple of other quick notes. I've given the members that are here in person a copy of our October King County Farmer news for November. Both our state and national associations will be doing their annual meetings and their policy setting process 100% virtual this year. We will be announcing to our members through our November publication that they can participate in that policy setting debate or view it online this year, which is an option that obviously hasn't been necessary nor available in the past year. So we'll be putting information in our King County Farmer how people can tune into that if they would like and see the discussion on various public policies. We got the word in the last month that the pollinator rain garden project that we installed, and Mr. Kios was a big help. Did a good job wielding a shovel to put some pollinator plants in the ground for us back in July. But that was named one of 18 outstanding projects by the American Farm Bureau Federation in this COVID-induced environment where there just were not a whole lot of outdoor projects or gatherings. So if they were having an annual meeting, we would be creating a display to share that program idea. And again, that was motivated by changes in the Kane County Stormwater Ordinance to allow farmers to install best management practices in lieu of stormwater detention when they do improvements on their farms. So that was why we undertook that project. In the November King County Farmer, we're going to announce to our members that Caitlin Post, who is an agriculture teacher at Central High School in Burlington, was one of 4 recipients in the state this year of a $10,000 grant from the IAA Foundation, which is our statewide association's charitable and educational foundation. And that grant is in recognition and anticipation of her continuing to follow that career path. So it's a $10,000 grant over 5 years to encourage her to stay in agricultural education. But we're very proud of the fact that of only 4 awards given in the state of Illinois, that one of them was given to a local King County teacher. And then this we have not and will not report on until December, but our own local not-for-profit foundation will be making a significant grant to the Hinckley Big Rock FFA chapter, which is building an agricultural education center on their campus in Hinckley. And we expect to make that presentation in about a week. And we'll probably announce it over social media channels at that time, but won't actually do a news release until about the 1st of December, because that's consistent with our publication deadlines. And then the last thing, we do a fall harvest sale every year again, to raise money for our not-for-profit foundation for scholarships in support of FFA chapters, like the grant we'll be making for Hinckley Big Rock. That's pretty much come to a close. I think that we, like most of the farms in the county that deal with harvest decorations and pumpkins, have had a pretty good year. I think that sales have been really brisk this year. And I don't know if that's also COVID induced, because people just haven't had an opportunity to get outside and do a lot of things. But for those of you in the room, or those of you that may pass by our office on Randall Road, we're doing a fire sale. We're doing a buy one, get one. So if you have not gathered what you need yet for your Halloween decorations, feel free to come by our office and get a bargain. And then I'm going to give a brief introduction. My guest this morning is Becca Dwyer, and Becca is from Conserve FS. FS is one of the Farm Bureau's for-profit business partners or entities, and Becca's going to tell you a little bit more about what she does with Conserve.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you. Okay, everybody can hear me?
If you took your mask off, we could better hear you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me today. I am super excited to kind of introduce Conserve to this new role in the specialty crops market. So I work with basically everything that isn't corn and beans, whether it's people raising dandelion greens, garlic, all the way up to the industrial hemp movement, which is more of what my background is in. Previously, I managed 3 industrial hemp research locations for fiber throughout the state. And yeah, just super excited to be up here, get to know everyone, and see ways that I can help contribute to the growth of the specialty crops market here in Kane County.
Thank you. Is there any questions?
Sure.
Mr. Sanchez, you should be here. We'd be talking about hemp. You could get firsthand answers to your questions. Oh, there you go.
And
I'm listening.
It's a hemp question too.
Mhm.
So I went to a Conserve FS field day in McHenry County,
Mhm.
right? And it was awesome. I learned a lot.
Wonderful.
Would you be able to do something similar in the future when maybe
Absolutely.
we're past COVID in Kane?
Yes, yep. So I have something in the works, hopefully for this winter. I'm planning on doing several educational seminars for local producers and interested parties throughout the northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin
Great.
area. Those dates aren't available yet, but as soon as I have them, I'd be happy to have them passed along to you guys. Hemp is probably one of the biggest questions that I get on a regular basis,
Yeah.
just because it's so new. There's a lot of additional support needed sometimes for those farmers.
Yeah, especially with your experience, that would be awesome. I
Absolutely.
learned a lot that day for the field day, but yeah, it'd be great to be able to, so we could get your card and get on your mailing list and exchange so that we're,
Absolutely.
yep, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
so Mr. Caius, yeah, for Becca, Becca, are you working with cover crops and alternate
Yes.
crops as cover crops for and
Absolutely.
regenerative agriculture?
Yep. So that's one of, as I'm sure you all know, a very big growing interest. So I deal with a lot of cover crops. That's a lot of what my job has been lately. Whether it's oat and radish for your no-till operations to start breaking up surface compaction, legumes to kind of add nitrogen into your soil, or something as simple as oats just to help fix nitrogen in your soil so that it can't be leached before the next crop comes in.
Very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
I noticed in the state's paper, they had a little article about the garlic breath farm down,
Yes.
and remember, they came here once. And they're planting garlic now is the deal. But it's kind of neat to have a little thing like that in the state paper. North Valley Food Bank.
Thank you. So as Teresa and I shared last meeting, this past month of September was our Hunger Action Month. So just to give you guys a little bit of a recap of what happened there, we had a very successful month given everything that's going on. So we had over 9,500 volunteer hours served throughout the month of September. We had a 9/11 day of service, which was our big promotional service day. And just that day alone, we were able to pack over 88,000 meals. We had quite a lot of engagement with our elected officials coming out to volunteer with us. We were able to place an op-ed on child nutrition waivers, and not as a result, but along that vein, a lot of child nutrition waivers were passed through the USDA, so that's great. We'll be able to feed a lot more children with these waivers through next September. So that's a great update. This month we have over 20 pop-up markets planned, which were our COVID-19 response, and those are feeding anywhere from 800 to 2,000 plus families. So having over 20 of those this month is really great, but we are looking ahead to see a bit of a commodity lift coming from the USDA. So the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program, or the Farmers to Families Food Box Program, is ending on October 31st. So we'll see the end of that food distribution coming up. And then at the end of this year, we're going to see the end of the trade mitigation food that we've been receiving. So we are anticipating quite a bit of a cliff coming up in the new year. So that's one of our major asks with USDA, is to supplement that cliff. Also looking ahead, we've entered our holiday meal box season. So we're packing a lot of holiday meal boxes to serve to families across Northern Illinois. So those are turkeys, green beans, all the good holiday meal stuff. And then in a little bit more of fun news, we had filming at our Geneva location from people at ABC's Localish. So we're going to be a part of a spot on ABC's Localish, all about farm to family through a food bank. So they started filming in California. They came out here to see our food bank. They have done spots at Feeding America. So that date is not planned yet. It's supposed to come out in the next few weeks, probably. So I can get back to you with a date on that if you have an interest. Thank you.
All right, are there any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes?
Could Julia just remind us of what the child nutrition waivers are?
Sure. So there are quite a few different child nutrition waivers out there. So they do things like allow kids to come get meals at summer feeding sites without having to stay on site and eating food. They allow parents to come pick up food. There's additional waivers for school meals so that kids have more access to school meals through both the summer nutrition sites and the regular during the school sites. So there's a ton of different child nutrition waivers out there. We've gotten extensions for almost all of them through the next school year, through September of 2021. So that's great news in being able to feed some kids.
Great, thank you.
Janice?
Yes, regarding the filming, did they offer to give you a copy of the portion of your film project?
So we're working with them on getting some of the raw B-roll, but we are supposed to be a 3 to 5 minute spot of that whole entire piece. So it basically features produce being grown in I believe in California, and then making its way through, the food chain to us to get to a family. And they were able to spend a day with a neighbor of ours who she used to come to a pantry of ours to get food, and then she became a volunteer, and now she runs the pantry. So it's a really great, fantastic story that they also follow food through with that. So like I said, I'll make sure to pass along information once that has an official air date.
It would be great too if we could work together to have some of that B-roll that specifically highlights Northern Illinois Food Bank so that we could put that on our website and cross-promote.
Sure, if
For
they're
you,
willing to
that
share it with us,
Yeah,
we
if
could
they-
share
right,
it with
if you
you.
get
Yeah.
that, let's try for that.
Yes.
I noticed U46 is passing out meals at various sites, at schools, lunches. Mr. Arnold, before we go too much farther, are you selling turkeys again this year?
I'm selling turkeys and smoked turkeys.
Smokers
Smoked turkeys, yeah.
and smoked turkeys? And do you sell hams too?
Not till Christmas.
No, not till Christmas.
Not
We
till
have to wait.
Christmas. Yeah, you have to wait.
And this is National Pork Month, so have you got any specials on from?
I think we're doing sausage this month, which is first for us. Patties, links, and bulk. Thank you for the promotional opportunity.
Well, we like to buy the stuff that Farm Bureau sells because you buy it from Reams, don't you? Or the other one?
Sausage comes from Reams and from Gould Farms, and most of the pork and beef comes from in Bowden's in DeKalb County.
That's easier than a long drive to DeKalb. Okay, let's move on to the Garden Work. What is it? Garden Works project? You got a presentation? Take off your mask. Take off your mask too.
Okay.
There you go. We can hear better.
It's good to see faces. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm Jeannie Eisman. I'm the Executive Director at the Garden Works Project. And I'm here to not only just give you a quick overview of our mission, but also tell you a little bit about how we connected with some of your farmers this year. So the Garden Works Project, we are a food security organization based out of West Chicago, but we are comprehensive to Western Chicagoland. So we primarily serve families that are facing food insecurity, and we connect them with home gardening opportunities in an effort to teach them an empowerment skill on how to grow food for themselves. So it bridges that education component and that empowerment component, but also just teaching some basic skills on being able to promote sustainability and self-sufficiency. This year, because of COVID, obviously the local food system and the food supply chain was impacted, and there was a lot of worry throughout the region. We decided, in an effort to connect some of our food growers and some of our network with this concept of local food, to engage our fall fundraiser, which normally would have been an in-person event, into a virtual event. And we wanted to make it an opportunity to also promote things that are happening within the region, and especially with farmers within the area. So 2 of our 3 farms that were profiled were videoed by Stanley Glenn Productions, who's going to be speaking after this. And we provided over social media networks and our website opportunities for people to engage and see a personal profile of local farms that are doing good to provide local food to individuals within the region, and not necessarily for our clients per se, in a food security sort of food access kind of promotion, but necessarily, but primarily just to promote the farms that are providing and trying to improve the actual local food system within the region. So Stojan's, I think, is going to be a video that we'll show today. And then we also had Mighty Greens. And our third, which was out of McHenry County, was Nichols Farm and Orchard. So we were just really excited because this was more of an experiment, a pilot program that we, after the fact, have realized we're going to sustain and continue as an opportunity for people to learn more and become a bit more engaged, that sustainability is an option, eating locally is an option, even in our zone. And how do we engage with that more fully? We tried to promote their CSA. And so at the culmination of the events, after we provided these virtual events to individuals, we provided a Q&A that was a Zoom event where people could ask questions to these farmers, and each of the individuals that participated in the video series and the Q&A event received a farm share box. So we were able to pick up items from each of these farmers and then distribute it. So I actually have the pamphlets here. If anyone wants to pick one up, I'll maybe just leave them here on the way out, and you can get some information about not only GardenWorks, but about our actual event. Do you have any questions for me?
No questions?
Can you put Mike, can you make sure one of those gets upstairs into my box? One of the pamphlets?
Well, yeah, I guess we can try to do that.
Maybe if Karen with a K is there, maybe she'd do it.
She'll do it. She'll take it up there.
I'm on it.
How many are you going to leave us?
I can leave you, how many copies would you need? I have about 20.
Yeah, we have 20's all right. We have 24 board members.
Perfect.
Great.
You know, one thing about this area, there's lots of little patches of ground people could farm and do gardens in. Opportunities.
Is that the correct video? The one? Yeah. Okay.
I grew up with vegetables. My grandfather used to grow tomatoes for Campbell Soup Company. My dad used to do a lot of I grew up with vegetables. My grandfather used to grow tomatoes for Campbell Soup Company. My dad used to do a lot of wholesale for small chain grocery stores. He did a lot of work for not really much money because he did all wholesale. So in the late 80s, the grocery chains were kind of going out of business because of the big stores were taken over. So then we lost our outlet for that. So then that's when we started up with farmers markets and been doing that since. Initially, we just did yellow, I know that. And we only did, my father-in-law was still alive because he would sit and shell popcorn. We did maybe 10 bushel at the time. He just did with his hand too. We weren't even putting it through a sheller. And then it just grew that, well, why don't you try this color of popcorn? And the colors probably we haven't done quite as recent, maybe 10 years, 15 years. When it's fresh picked, it's got a nice glossy look to it. It does get a little less impressive, it dries down. My name is Karen Stojan. I'm a farmer at Stojan Farms, Stojan Vegetables. We moved here in 1983, and I believe we started doing the farmers markets in 1984. I was still working a full-time job. That was our insurance benefits, and then my husband got full-time with the state highway department, so since he had the benefits, then it's like, all right, this will be my full-time, I'll just work from home. I was using my vacation days to do a farmer's market. I'd take Fridays off to pick and then do my Saturday market. We have one helper at the farm here, but otherwise I consider it just family. Currently we go to Winfield on Wednesday. We've been there since it started, 25, 26 years that we've done Winfield. St. Charles on Friday, Sugar Grove, Batavia, Naperville on Saturdays. Saturdays are a day when we collapse when we come home. We've got 20 acres here. This is not our land across the street. We are very fortunate with excellent neighbors, and each neighbor has like a 5-acre parcel. Our son owns the property next door, so this helps us rotate locations of where for disease problems too. We try our best not to have to spray stuff, but periodically we do, because the bugs like to attack. We've got our tomatoes in their front yard. This side we have 6 different varieties of the regular slicing, canning type tomatoes. We stake them all too, so the tomatoes are held up off the ground. We like to pick them when they're red, so they're not too mushy. Yeah, we would like to have them in decent shape when we get to the farmers markets and stuff. Well, this spring we were kind of nervous of what to expect for farmers markets. You order all your seeds in the fall, winter, so everything was ordered and just hope for the best. Part of the things that go along with farming is you deal with all kinds of weather days. Especially with the dry weather, not everything is going to be a saleable item. Most of the plants have a fair amount of foliage, but this is a drawback to the sun too, because it's a sunburnt one. The creek is all dried up, so we do have a little trouble with raccoons and wildlife. So they're coming into the fields to gnaw on everything to find moisture themselves. And I know people ask, well, how do you control that? And it's like, we really don't. I mean, they get their share of stuff, and we hope we plant enough to have something else to sell as well. So we lay the new plastic down every year. There's roughly 300 plants in here. Garden flats for plants for people to purchase in May and June. I think a lot of people did attempt to plant a garden. I mean, it wasn't an easy year to do that, so I give them credit. Hopefully they had something turn out. I only put 2 varieties in here. They're all the slicer tomatoes. I don't do any of the cherries and stuff. Of course, we don't use any insecticides or anything in this one, because the idea of this one is get fruit to market faster than the field ones. With people's jobs being affected with COVID and everything else, we did offer if people want to make an appointment to come and pick it up at the farm. I think they realize too that, okay, the farmer is handling it, and then it goes basically directly to them. The amount of people that are looking for help is like more than double this year. When I have surplus product, the Salvation Army has been very receptive to accepting fresh produce, local food banks. So I try not to let product go to waste. We're both in our 60s, and he retired 2 years ago. So it's not like we're going to do this forever. I don't know if it'll carry on or not, but we're just keeping the door open for right now. As long as our health stays there, there's always changes. None of it is always easy, but make the best of it.
Hi, good morning still. I'm Shelly Tansley, and I am the founder of Stanley Glenn Productions. And one of the reasons why I started a video business was to help tell compelling stories for especially, nonprofits in the community, personal success stories. And so I think it's just really important to show the good that's going on within the community. And especially, it's been such an honor for myself to partner with GardenWorks and with Jeannie and really raising awareness about all the good that they're doing in the community with the local farming and just how many lives they've been able to change. So it's definitely a collaborative effort when we go to sit down to create these videos. This one, I couldn't have done it obviously without Jeannie and Morgan and even the photographer. We had a short turnaround time to crank out 3 videos for 3 separate farms. And so having like that team effort was just so important. And so in order to maximize on our time, you know, Jeannie would be interviewing the farmers, and my main objective was to get those angles that you might not get just solely walking up to the farm to go collect your produce. So I just tried to establish angles and help tell stories to really tell a story in a unique way, and not only just to help raise awareness for GardenWorks, but taking it into the fact that, you know, the farmers, like, this is their lives, this is their livelihood, and this is their private story. And so it's a great responsibility and honor to be able to help share that with the community and have it, you know, be well received. So, so yeah, that's really all I have to say. So thank you for having me out today and your time.
Thank you for your work and thank you for being here. Is there any questions? Mr. Caius, do you have any questions? We stumped
Just a comment. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Too bad we don't have free samples of those nice looking tomatoes.
They're delicious.
We'll move along to have presentations and announcements. Growing for Cane.
Yes, and I'll just give Blair a minute to pull up my slides.
Are you just going to say advance?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. So I know that a few months ago, Janice had announced that Kane County had received a new grant that was awarded by Compeer Financial. And this was really a grant that we pursued in response to COVID and the ways that it was affecting agriculture and our farmers across the region. And so today I just wanted to give a little bit of a preview as to how this funding is going to be used and how it's being designed for this farmer mini grant program and with a survey component. You can go to the next. So just a little bit of background on this. The award amount was $10,000. And so this is going to be used to provide targeted relief to farmers. And it's really designed in such a way that we want to help farmers that were negatively impacted by the pandemic. So there might have been costs that they didn't anticipate related to having to, retrofit their businesses, buying personal protective equipment. But we also recognize that some of these businesses have lost some revenue streams, whether it's through institutional markets or restaurants. There have just been some challenges as far as that supply chain working the way that it did before the pandemic. So we're really going to allow a lot of flexibility in terms of how this funding can be used. You can go to the next. I think you might have skipped one. That's all right. So in terms of the reach, so these are mini grants. So we're hoping to reach as many of Kane County food farmers as possible. So we're looking to award up to 50 grants, which would be at a minimum $200 each. Now the total number of grants that we make is obviously going to depend on the number of applications that we receive, qualifying applications that we receive. So that could change a little bit. So for instance, if we had 25 applicants, they would be receiving $400 each. So if there are fewer applicants, they could potentially be receiving more funding. But again, this is really going to be targeted to farmers that have identified and expressed need in response to the pandemic. And you can go to the next. And so this is really intended for Kane County farmers, is really the targeted group in terms of eligibility. But another important piece of this application is going to be a survey component. This is really a good opportunity to survey a large share of Kane County's food farming population. I know that we've done a couple of snapshot surveys previously, but we really haven't come close to surveying a majority of Kane County's food farmers. And, you know, from time to time, we recognize that there are new food and farm businesses that are coming online. And, you know, we want to have a very holistic understanding of how those farmers are operating, you know, what they're producing, who they're selling to. So we really see this as a good opportunity to have a good picture of what Kane County's food farming landscape looks like. So yeah, so in terms of data, again, we're looking at, you know, farm type, the scale of production, different sales outlets. So we're going to try to capture as much of that as we can. You can go to the next slide. Eligibility. So this is really open to any type of farming operation. So obviously conventional fruit and vegetable production. There have been a growing number of indoor production facilities that we're learning about. So any sort of indoor aquaponic production, hydroponic production, you know, other types of unconventional production, whether it's apiaries. You know, we had a mushroom producer operating in Kane County for a while. So it's really going to be open-ended to capture any of these different types of agricultural production. And in terms of eligible expenses, again, they just need to identify that there has been a cost that they've incurred related to the pandemic. And so that can be used for anything from, you know, operating equipment and supplies, personal protective equipment. Marketing and advertising is something that we see as of growing importance because they have to reach new markets to make up for markets that they might have lost before. So there's cost associated with that. And by extension, the need to build new e-commerce platforms. So, you know, a lot of these farms have websites set up to kind of promote their businesses, but they don't have platforms where people can go in and, you know, and make purchases of product and have, you know, a process for picking it up or having it delivered. So that's going to be another growing need that we see. You can go to the next slide. So this is, I just want to acknowledge the funding partner, Compeer Financial, again. They provide services to multiple states, so not just Illinois. They include Wisconsin and Minnesota as well, regions of Minnesota. So we're really grateful for their support. They do offer a number of types of grant programs, but we applied for their general use grant program, which provides a fair amount of flexibility as far as how we design a grant program. I did just want to note in terms of the timing of the launch of this, the county is also currently administering the Coronavirus Relief Fund program. And I know that at a previous meeting, I mentioned that farmers are also eligible for this funding. So we're going to be paying attention to the applicants and recipients of that program, just so that we can make sure that we're maximizing the reach of this program to as many Kane County food farmers as possible. So I know that program is, the applications are being reviewed right now, and they should be making award announcements for that program within the next couple of weeks or so. And you can go on to the next. I just wanted to finish up with another announcement. So the Land Connection is a nonprofit organization that serves Illinois and is a farm and land stewardship organization. And they, over the summer, applied for a farmers market promotion program grant. And we were able to partner with them on that grant application because we really see it as a program that could provide a lot of important benefits for Kane County food farmers. Now, it is going to be open to farmers across the state, but by virtue of the fact that we're going to be advising one of their program committees, we're going to be in a much better position to promote some of the programs that are developed through this new grant program. The main focus of which is going to be farmer technical assistance. They're going to be developing these training programs to help farmers develop their own e-commerce stores and platforms. And they're also going to be making a big push to supporting on-farm cottage food businesses as sort of a new business line that farmers can take advantage of if they're not doing that already. So I hope to have more to announce on this. It's going to be playing out over a 3-year period, so it's going to be an extended implementation period, but there's a lot of alignment with the types of programs and needs that we want to be promoting here in Kane County.
Are there any questions? Anyone? No? All right, we'll move on then to winter farmers markets.
That'll be me. I think that there is a slide that will go with the winter markets along with this, the one that you have up, Blair. And thanks to Matt too, and I know that he may not say this, but the reason that we had the wonderful presentation from Garden Works from Jeannie and Shelley is because Matt is on the board of Garden Works and what has been for many years. And so his experience extends beyond Kane County. And so that effort, we're lucky to be able to have our farms promoted through Garden Works and share that work with them. So thanks. And Shelley is Matt's sister too, so he probably didn't say that as well. So we're very happy to have them for that extra special reason. I'm just going to give a brief update on winter markets, but to let you know that next month we've invited Janie Maxwell back as a guest to talk a little bit more about farmers markets, the wrap up from the summer, so she can give you a more in-depth update from how the summer went, and then a more in-depth look at winter markets. I will tell you that there are new guidelines from the state of Illinois for winter markets that are going to be more restrictive than the summer markets. And so that means for many previously operating winter markets that they probably won't be operating. We've heard that Batavia will have a market, and they're working on that right now. The requirements are going to be that vendors are 30 feet apart. And so the state is requiring them to operate like a flea market. And so that's a real disappointment from the standpoint of kind of a loss for the standpoint of farmers and Illinois Farmers Market Association and for our farmers. So it was kind of considered a loss for us. And there is concern that this could carry forth moving forward into the summer. Farmers markets were previously categorized as an essential service, and they were not considered that for winter markets. So Janie is working on that, and I'd like to have her come back for next month to give you a little bit more detail to see how that's going forward. So these are some of the guidelines you can see on the slide. But we know that Batavia is going to be able to have space to have a winter market. So we know we have one for sure, possibly Elgin. We may see some virtual markets as well as some individual farmers that will continue to have their virtual markets, for their on-farm virtual markets where you come and pick up your product from on-farm. But that is going to be a big disappointment because many of our farms did so well during the summer months, right? And we know that the demand and need for local food is still there. So we'll continue to monitor that. And also, we may see some of those responses come through for the survey that Matt just talked about. That's why it's so important for us to have close contact with our farmers to find out what's happening and in their world, what their needs are. And we're grateful to Compure to help underwrite that grant to help compensate the farmers for some of these changes that they have to make seasonally. Now we're finding out that those changes are seasonal. So that's pretty much what I have to report on for farmers markets, but we'll have Janie next month give us a little bit more detail. And I have a couple more slides on new announcements regarding veterans and farms. So you may remember from presentations from Jake Zimmerman from our Veterans Commission, but we have about 5% of Kane County's overall population are military veterans, about 21,300 or so. And there are support services for military veterans as well as active military and their families. And those are in many forms, but they include business services. For the business services offered by SBA, those tend to be in regional offices across the country. And for our region, those are located in Milwaukee. So that is a bit of a distance to be able to receive those services. But I did provide the link there. And of course, right now, most of those services are available for in virtual programming. And so you have that link there as well. If we go to the next slide. What is good to hear is that Illinois DCO, which also is running a veterans business series in cooperation with USDA, they are offering a webinar that'll be coming up next week on probably what I'm thinking is procurement. They tend to focus quite a bit on procurement opportunities for military veterans. So this is the link to sign up for the Veterans Business Series. So any military veteran that's interested in agriculture support through the state DCEO, that's the link. Any questions?
Any questions? No questions from Penny. Good, Mr. Caius? All right.
I got nothing.
Okay.
Thank you.
We moved through this. We have no new business, do we? No. We need a motion to place the report. Do we have any reports? Look what? You want to make a motion to place, Penny moves to place the reports on file? Who seconds that? Wake up now. Wake up out there.
Caius.
Caius seconds.
Nobody can find their mute button, I guess.
Yeah, we'll call the roll.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kobe,
Opie, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Starrett,
Starrett, yes.
Wegman,
Yes.
Mr. Kenyon.
Today's prize, if you get the question right, the answer to the question is, Kane County got an award from the National Farm Organization, and it was for an outstanding project. It was one of how many?
18.
All right. Mr. Caius gets it, so you could get the pork barbecue spice. Would you like a hat too? You can. We have a hat here, Caius. You could throw that other one and have a farm hat.
I've got some farm hats, thanks. What, I won what? A pork what?
But it's a barbecue spice. So when you go to
Oh,
the
sounds great.
Farm Bureau and you can buy the unseasoned pork stuff and spice it up and cook it for your wife.
Yeah, if Steve's still there, give it to him. I want to reserve one of those smoked turkeys.
All right.
I'll have to swing by and pick it up.
Now we need a motion to adjourn. That hand comes up. Penny Wagman moves.
Starrett seconds.
Starrett seconds. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned.